Yes, just because they are okay.
Hello.
Saluto.
Actually, hello,
I
sir.
wish if you are shaking too.
Okay, we'll be starting very soon.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. Um, all right. I hope you guys are ready.
Yes. I'm ready.
Because
Right.
you only wants to do a one other person.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Hello, dear viewers, and welcome to this enriching platform once more, where we share valuable knowledge and experience and even tips on business, technology, and life skills. Talking about life skills, we will be concluding the series on relationship, on the series of relationships which we started some time back. And in this grand finale, a critical question will be answered. A question which almost everyone, okay, will have to has or will be faced with at some point in their lives. Okay, which is, should I get married to this person? Okay, you've been in a relationship with someone for a while now, and the time has come for you both to take this decision. And obviously, you can't remain in courtship forever. Okay, time waits for no one, and it's definitely not an easy decision to make, and everyone is scared of not choosing wisely. Well, luckily for you, we'll be giving you guidelines today on how to make this choice. Okay, here with us as usual is our power couple, the Ngakas, okay, who are experts in all things about dating, courtship, and marriage. So it's time for us to tap into their world of knowledge and experience. As we proceed, please feel free to jot down any questions you have related to relationships, even on topics with which we discussed in previous episodes. You can write them down in the live chat, and I'm sure our guests will be happy, to give you answers. And to all our viewers, please like this video and share it to your contacts on social media. To those watching for the first time, please subscribe and press the bell to be notified of our upcoming enriching videos. So without wasting any more time, please, Doctor and Dr. Mrs. Ngaka, you have the floor.
Hello, good evening, afternoon, morning, everyone. Thank you, Nelson, for that introduction. I will not say we are experts. We just sharing what we've learned so far, what God has helped us to know. It's a pleasure again to be here to talk about relationship, singlehood, and marriage. It's been an exciting journey, and I hope and I'm sure you've learned one or two things that will help you better your relationship or help you advise or counsel others in your sphere of influence. So we've been going through a journey on singlehood and marriage. From the very first day, if you were there on the first day, we spoke about singlehood and how to maximize that period. We said you need to use that period to be able to serve God, to be able to discover your purpose, and to be able to accomplish the reason why God sent you on earth. So during singlehood, you do all of that, and while doing that, you prepare yourself for marriage. You prepare yourself to share your life with someone. And after that, we also spoke about the things that you needed to see to be sure that you are ready, those indicators that will help you know or help you know that some other person is ready to get into relationship, which included physical maturity, financial, social, and intellectual maturity. And last session, especially that last month, we spoke about those things that you need to do in your relationship to help you grow. What are those things that you need to be doing once you've agreed to date or to court someone? What should you be doing during courtship? Now, we spoke about getting to know each other better, getting to know their character, their personalities, getting to know their families, their friends, their values, and also getting to pray together about your future. And one of the things that we spoke about that you should not do during courtship, which is not advisable, was that you don't get too intimate physically with the other person because it actually distracts you from seeing those things that could be red flags in your relationship. So we said you avoid having physical contact, and also you avoid um assuming roles of being a wife already or being a husband already while you're in courtship. It's true that during courtship you could out of love extending help to your partner in one way or the other. For example, the girl could offer to cook for for the man she's dating, but that should not become a routine. You don't advise that you assume those roles already when you're not yet married. So that's a bit of what we spoke about last week. And this week, which is the last but not the least, we'll be talking about what to do. What are the steps you should take when you think you're ready to take this relationship to another level, and also some things to do in marriage to keep the fire burning, to keep the romance up. So today we're going to be talking about those things. What are the procedures? What are the steps you need to take? Well, we are going to focus more in our context here from Africa. What when you've dated somebody and you think that it's time that you take the relationship to another level, what do you do then? The first thing that you want to do is you want to make an engagement. You want to have an engagement. It doesn't necessarily need to be a party or some big gathering. It's just an engagement. You are going to choose how you do it. The guy proposes to the girl usually. It could be at a restaurant, it could be on an outing. You could choose to invite friends and some families over, but the guy proposes to the girl, usually with a ring, and then the girl accepts. Now, if the girl has accepted, it means that the two people have accepted to move ahead in their relationship. That is when now you, the guy, needs to get to the girl's parents or the girl's family and have a formal introduction. I'll call this formal introduction because during courtship, like we spoke last week, during courtship you get to know your your the families of your partner or your spouse or your to be spouse. So you by now you should have known them. They should have known you. They should have known your intentions. But although not formally, they should have known your intentions by now very well, such that when you're going out for the introduction or what we call the knock door, they already know or have an appreciation of what's going on. They're not taken by surprise, like what's happening or who is this guy. It's not when you're preparing to come for the formal introduction that they start asking, well, who is this guy, where is he from, or what does he do. By now they should have known you informally. They should have known you very well, such that the introduction, like we call it, that's why it's a formal introduction, because they are supposed to be an informal introduction. So you get things ready, you arrange the girl's parents, that's the boy, and then you go for the formal introduction. Usually during the formal introduction, the parents get to know each other formally, their intentions are made, and if there's any token like the bride price to be paid for the girl, they discuss all of that there, and things kick off. Now, after the formal introduction, I think the ball is set, and you guys can start planning your wedding or when you have to get married. And it's important that before taking this to the next level, because courtship because during courtship you're getting to know each other. Once you've decided to take this to the next level, it is good that you already have a plan that is set. And except otherwise or something beyond your control disrupts that plan, it should really follow it sequentially. In other words, you don't want to go and do the formal introduction, and after that you start wondering when you're going to actually get married officially, maybe do the traditional, the civil wedding, and maybe the wide wedding, if that's your intention. So you need to have, let's say, tentative date that you're already working on. You're not going to do the formal introduction to come and sit back and wonder when or how you're gonna have the next event. So it should be something that is planned already. So that after the formal introduction, you just start off with preparations for your church, your traditional wedding, your church, and your civil wedding. So once you've met the parents, they've accepted, and the bride price and all that is set, you guys are ready to commence your wedding prep. You could set the date for the traditional wedding. Now that will vary with different cultures and different tribes. Like you set the date for the traditional wedding, and after that, the court and the blessing. Now, this is variable because different people will like to make their, their ceremonies different. If you want an elaborate ceremony, fine and good if you both agree. If you want a very solemn and close ceremony, fine and good, you both will agree on that. But that's basically what the steps you take to to actually get married. And just to add, after the formal introduction, you then need to meet your leaders, your spiritual leaders, or maybe your pastor or whoever is leading you spiritually, to be able to start counseling you premaritally. So you need to go. It's very important that you both go through that process before getting married or before the blessing. It's important that you meet your leaders after the introduction, and you guys go through the premarital counseling, because there are a lot of things that will be discussed during that time. There are a lot of things that you need to straighten out, that you need to settle on during the premarital counseling. So after that, you get married, and then somebody will ask me, what next after marriage? This journey doesn't end here. When I get married, what happens after that? Well, when you get married and it's sealed, that's just the beginning of the journey. Sometimes marriage is not actually the end, it's actually the beginning of another journey to start with. So when you get married, you now become one. All the things we've been talking about, all the things we've been discussing about, will now come to the open. This is when you're going to practice, you're going to live what you have said, live your vows, you're going to live your promises to your spouse. So, and one of the things that was pinpointed that I talked about during marriage is finances, which is so important because I think that finances should even be discussed during courtship and more during the premarital counseling. Your finances in your marriage is very important because majority of the majority of the divorce couples that we have now have a link to do with finances. So it's important that you set things straight. I mean, you discuss things to the letter when it comes to your finances, even before getting married. There's during your premarital counseling, your leaders are going to talk with you. They're going to ask you about how you want to handle your finances, your responsibilities, for example, at home. How do you want your finances to be handled? Do you want a joint account? Do you want a separate account? Um, and the advantages and disadvantages of both. A joint account would mean that you both bring together all that you earn at the end of the month, and then responsibilities the money that is joined together is used to carry out the different responsibilities in the house, and then maybe what is left over is used for savings, and maybe each each party has some pocket money. Joint account could also be in the sense that you guys don't actually literally bring your incomes together for at the end of the month, but guys have a particular project for which you want to accomplish. At the end of the month, you guys bring together some money or some resources for that particular project to be accomplished. And then responsibilities are shared in the house for each person to do. So you have the pros and the cons of the different. Well, the good thing with the joint account is that it's more account. It helps you to be more accountable. And if somebody who is somebody who spends a lot, you can actually be regulated with that. But the disadvantage is that there is no freedom. You don't have autonomy. There are a lot of things that you may want to do. Just you may want to do without needing to bother your spouse, but each time you need to consent and I need money for this and money for that. And sometimes when the person is not around, things get a bit slow. So with with the other part of the account, it gives you some liberality. But at the same time, if somebody doesn't know how to manage money well, it's going to be a disadvantage to them. So this is going to be discussed before marriage or before you actually sign or come together. During courtship and during the premarital counseling, you're going to go through all of this, and then you agree on how you manage your finances before you get married. Yeah, it's not when you get married that you start asking and wondering what you will do or how you're going to do about the finances. The second thing that was pinpointed that I talked about during marriage is managing your in-laws. Well, all these topics are really, really broad topics that could take us a lot of time. Then I have anything to say about in-laws is that this thing should be discussed before marriage. We discussed this before marriage, how you're going to manage your in-laws, how are your in-laws going to be staying with you, what do you do with them, and what plans maybe your spouse or your partner has for them, and how you're going to accomplish these plans. So you arrange all of that. Usually, when you get married, especially during the first year, it's always advisable. We know for those of us coming from Africa, we know that the in-laws they are not just an entity of the marriage, they're actually the marriage or very much part of it. So when you're getting married, the first it's advisable that the first year you actually stay alone with your partner, your husband or your wife, so that you get to know each other before bringing in third parties. Because in some cultures, some people actually get married, they move into their marital homes with people or with children. like the grannies in the village will say, I'm sending you into marriage with this child or with this person, they want to help you out. So it's advisable that you stay with your spouse during the first year, get to know them. I mean, adjust, because when you get married, you wonder if you are knowing your spouse before. Eh? You wonder if you actually dated before you got married. Sometimes you think that this man just I just got up in the morning and I found myself married to this man. Meanwhile, that's somebody you've been dating. Why? Because when you start living together, there are things that you see that you had never seen or you could never see as long as you were just courting. So you have a lot of adjustments to make while you get married. That's why it's necessary that we have this time together to adjust to each other's temperament, each other's attitudes and all that. So those that's what you need to really settle on before you get married about your in-laws. And the last but not the least is how to keep the fire burning, how to keep the romance going. You know, doing dating is easy or is just obvious, automatic. There's no effort. You put no effort in that romance and all. Then when you get married, you realize that you must to have the fire burning in your marriage. For the romance to be alive, it has to be intentional. The courtship is not necessarily intentional because at that time the eros is just is
It's
just
bubbling.
all over and you make no effort to just flow. But when you get married, there are a lot of things that will start coming up, responsibilities, maybe children, your career, the other things that come up, and before you know it, it chokes you up, and then you find yourself living with somebody, your spouse, and then at one point it's like you're living with some just some partner, some bed maid, a housemate, because all other things have really choked you up. But you guys need to be intentional about it. When you're setting your objectives for the year, for example, you have your career, your spiritual life, and all that. Your marriage has to be amongst your objectives because marriage is a spiritual union created by God. It is part and parcel of your life. God doesn't want to be involved in other areas of your life and then left out of your marriage. So you set objectives, and one of them should be to keep the flame burning. When you set those objectives, you become intentional about them. So you make it out. For example, you guys should fix a date, maybe once a month at least, or twice a month. Then you people will go out like you did when you were dating. You guys will talk, have some quality time together. Why not go on holidays if you can afford? You go out of the country. If you cannot, you go out of your house, go out of town. So these things are very important to keep the fire burning. They are very important. Those things that you used to do when you were dating, you keep doing them. You keep doing them intentionally. You don't just relax and say, "Oh, I'm married, so I already have him or her in the bag. What else?" No, you need to keep doing those things. For the lady, if you used to look good, if you used to look very tense for your partner, even in marriage, it's still there are a lot of responsibility, there are a lot of things to do. You need to still continue to make those efforts to look good and attractive to your spouse. If you're the man and used to shower a lady with gifts, you continue doing that when you're married. Don't think that okay, I was trying, when you want to catch um
Chicken.
what country fowl, call country fowl, yeah, these very domestic fowls are running around. You throw the corn and then when they come you catch them. When you catch them, there's no corn again to throw because you know they have already achieved their objective. So if you used to shower your woman with gifts during courtship, you marry, you continue doing that. Don't say I've already got to her and there's no way she cannot run away, so I'm not doing anything again. So those are just some of the little things that you can do to keep the fire burning. And the last but not the least is that you pray together. Prayer started right from courtship, wedding preparations, marriage. I mean, if you pray 4 times during courtship, marriage, you pray times 5. So you pray together, commit the union into the hands of the Trinity, and you trust God that even during hard times, because there will be good times and there will be not so good times. During those times, He's going to see you through in one way or the other. So I really thank you all for listening, for your contributions, for even the questions you've been asking so far. And this is what we have for you today. Before we move to the questions, I'm sure my husband will have one or two things to say
All right.
about that.
Okay, thank you very much. I think it's really been enriching. Like she said, I think when you get married, it's just the beginning, it's just the start of the journey. And the friends will remain burning all through. And you need to continue to blend, you need to mend together in all the different skills, whether it's mentally, spiritually, physically. We talk about physical mending, you need to continue to be attractive to one another, you need to remain neat. Okay, spiritually continue to inspire each other in the things of God by praying together, first studying the word of God together. And also mentally and emotionally, that is where you have all the outings and make sure you have outings regularly. And I would like to add that it is important that you learn to be dynamic, always change. When anything you do gets monotonous, it becomes boring. It means that if you are used to doing something that's attractive, try to change the format, try to change the way of doing it. I mean, if your husband or your wife likes, in fact, let me say the husband, if he likes arrow, you can't make a routine that every day you cook arrow, someday you cook jangana, someday you cook something else. I mean, always have diversity in your outing. You must not go to the same place. You must not have the same program when you go out. You might go out and do something else. So make sure that there's diversity in the things that you do, because the diversity will come. It strives your relationship. It gives room for a quest for what next. And each time that quest is there and you meet it with a surprise, it comes to warm the heart and increase the warmth during the relationship. So thank you very much for following. I think we're open now for questions and any other contributions. We are open and free and ready to attempt to give an answer to the questions. Thank you very much.
Wow, wow, wow. Yeah, I mean, it's as usual. They have delivered even above our expectations, and they've really shared quite a lot. So I'm just going to like give a brief summary of what I what I gathered from from the presentation. Okay, so like so when you finally take that decision, okay, when you both decide to uh, get married, okay, it's good to have an engagement, some sort of an engagement. I mean, it must not be big, and make sure it's also nice to make sure that your parents are, the family is informed, okay, so that they will not be they will not be surprised. Then then follows the knock door, the traditional wedding, depending on your cultures. And during that period as well, before blessing the wedding, it's also important to do premarital counseling. Okay, so that's another very important point. And then after getting married, okay, the things to consider from what I got were finances, which are key. In fact, that should be discussed during courtship. That should be discussed during courtship. Then this management of in-laws. Okay, okay, so the in-laws shouldn't like come in like just immediately. Okay, you need time with your partner alone. Okay, so adjust to the new dynamic, and then the most important one, which is to keep the romance, the fire burning. Yeah, so the main thing that I look out from here is that it has to be intentional. Okay, and so essentially you should keep doing the things that you were doing when you were courting. All right. Okay, so that's what our guests have for us today, and so to those watching with us, I see Therese. It's the floor is open to to questions. I believe you must have, questions for our guests. Miss Teres, do you have any questions? All right. In that case,
Thank you very
yes.
much. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I'm still thinking about it. I'm still thinking.
All right. Okay, that's fine. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the question I have, okay, with respect to I have a question with respect to finances. Okay. So okay, given that it has to be discussed during courtship. Okay, like how far should they discuss, like, okay, how, to what extent should it be discussed, like, okay, to what extent should that be shared, should such information be shared, like advising, like what is advisable to share and what is not advisable to share.
Okay, it's true that my what aspect are you talking about, please? About the first part, my mic had a problem.
Okay, yeah, okay. So I'm talking about finances. Okay, which are, okay. You talked about finances, discussing finances during courtship, right? So what I'm asking is, to what extent should it be discussed? Is it everything,
Yes.
or so yeah?
All right. Okay, I think that during courtship, the main lines. Okay, in fact, the first thing is, what financial policy are you going to adopt in your family? Okay, either a joint or separate account, and to what extent is joint account. The main principles are going to be agreed upon during the courtship. And you can look at a few examples in grossly. We can discuss about that. An example, people can agree that, okay, to have a joint account where you bring in everything, and from there, different portions and different projects are being realized from the money we have in our bank, or we have stock we have in our account. And then everybody has a pocket allowance, which is has a month or every week or 2 weeks, or depending on which policy you are done. Now, that is a policy people can discuss about that. If that has been discussed and has been agreed upon, each time when you get into marriage, when you have your money, you bring it together and your father. So it is that far. But to discuss about what will happen, you can't preview everything. You can try to discuss as much as possible, but there are key things that will always come. You have things about household, you have things about child school fee, you have things about maybe construction, maybe about investment, maybe support the families. Some of those main axes, you have them. But the details of these different things, it's difficult to discuss all. But if you have this big view, this broad view about your finances and how you spend it, I think when the time comes and you meet them, because you have set the principle, or you have made the principles earlier, it's easy to make it easy to move ahead. That's what I think. So that's how far I think you can. I hope my question is, my answer is suitable.
Okay, all right, interesting. Okay, so thanks for the response. Okay, so I have a specific question with respect to that. Is it advisable to let your partner know how much you earn? Is it advisable to do that? Do you think? What do you think?
Yes. Okay. I think I think yes.
Before marriage?
Before marriage.
Yes.
Yes. I think there's nothing wrong with that. With my spouse, there's nothing we are hiding. Okay, she knows a lot about you, know how much. I think there's nothing wrong with that. You can know how much you earn. I know in Africa sometimes we are afraid that the person will know and expect too much from you, but I mean, you've chosen the person already. Okay, and I feel like it's possible to explain. The person should know how much you earn, and it's also normal for you to know about how much the person earns. That's what it means people to come together as one. It means people share everything, including your money, including your finances. You have an appreciation how much the person earns. I think it's normal for the person should. I don't know if that's something to
I think same too. Nelson keeps bringing up this question.
Yeah. Anyway. All
I
right.
think
All
it's
right.
normal. I think it's normal to discuss your finances, how much you earn, and a little bit how much you spend. It's true that sometimes The details might appear like we lack privacy and all of that. I mean, all of that depends on you. You people can choose to agree on that. It's possible, but I think be as open as much as possible on everything, even in your finances and your expenses. It helps transparency and also have the other person to learn and also to counsel you if maybe you are going off.
Mhm. Okay. All right.
And I would
Yeah,
like to
looking
say
at
that being
yes.
able to share that it's a sign of trust. Okay, you can't.
Okay.
There is no love without trust. Being able to share one of that is a sign of trust in the person you are spending you plan to spend your life with. And so you can share that. If you can't share information as detailed as that, it means it's an indicator that there is no trust and you can't have love without trust.
All trust. Yeah. All right. All right. All right. Okay. So okay. Okay. So okay. So what do you think? Do you think there are certain things that okay there are certain things that you may not necessarily have to share before getting married? Do you think it's there are certain things that you would rather share after getting married, or that is are more appropriate to share after getting married?
Concerning finances.
Mm.
No, no, concerning anything, like any aspect.
Well, the purpose of courtship is to be as open as possible. Like you need to share like everything so they know you through and through. If something was not shared during courtship, then maybe it should be for reasons beyond your control you-
Forgetfulness.
or forgetfulness, not like you're deliberately keeping a secret only to let
Mm,
them know when they get married to you.
mm, okay, all right,
Because
all right.
the danger with that is that when the person knows about it later on, the person feels tricked. Okay, then it
Yes,
tricks the person. And when that
yes,
happens, the person doesn't trust you.
yes,
It destroys trust. And when trust is destroyed, it's a crack in your relationship. So
yes.
try not to destroy trust like that. But now, I'd like to add that how much information we have, information is progressive in a relationship. It's not like the person will tell, I can tell you, or someone can tell you all of his life in one day or in 1 week.
Yeah,
Over time, information will come. You will get to learn about each other, learn about events as you communicate. You will learn about each other as time goes on. I think it's normal. Okay, but it's difficult to learn everything in 1 day. That's the purpose of courtship is to communicate to know each other extensively, and that will happen
yeah.
through communication regularly.
Mm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, so we have another question here from the Afro Dreamer. So what his question is, what if you guys marry and later discover a lot of incompatibility when living together? Okay, since you didn't live together before, is there a way to sort that out before like getting married?
Okay, the purpose of courtship was to see how compatible you were, and if the courtship was well managed, then you should have known at least to some extent those main differences that you have, and by then you're going to know if you're going ahead with a relationship or not. Now, that notwithstanding, when you get married, there are things that you will still discover, or you will not really discover, you become aware of, because actually, what you're saying you're discovering during marriage was always there, even during courtship. Maybe you were blinded and you did not see, or maybe you saw and you wanted to give excuses on their behalf as to why they reacted this way or why they behaved this way. So since you're already biased in your mind, you refuse to see some of those things, you refuse to acknowledge some of those things, or you interpreted those things in a way to suit you or your relationship. Now, when you get married and you begin to see those things, all you've got to do is to try to sort them out. So you try to sort them out. You try to accommodate each other as much as you can, and you still try to discuss your differences. But the ideal thing would have been to do that during courtship. If it happens during marriage, then you try to sort it out and work it out. So I don't know an answer the question.
Yes, I like to say that. I mean, it's
Yeah.
a sign of a successful marriage is built on courtship. It's time for you to know your spouse better. And I like us to know that when you already get married, as Christians, it is not divorce is not an option. Okay, divorce is not an option because what God has blessed, you cannot curse anymore. So once you get married, God has proclaimed His blessing upon your union already. You cannot reverse it. And so, because that is the case, we need to take courtship very seriously. It is time when we discuss everything, the challenges, and in fact, we discuss every challenge and every opportunity, every nice thing we have discussed together. And you to have a counselor who follows the people up. And now, the counselor doesn't always follow you up. During your courtship, after courtship, the counseling continues. So that if you have difficulties after that, go back to your counselor and talk with him, and he will help you out of those challenges. So I think that the challenges will always be there, but I know also that those challenges will have solutions. And so the solutions are considered by you playing together and also by you sharing that with your counselor because in the multitude of counsel, there is security.
Yep. Yeah. That's very true. Yeah. So, still related to that. Okay. I mean, as Manjit said, you cannot see everything during. Let's not say you cannot see everything. Okay. The question I have is, I mean, divorce is out of the equation. Okay, when once you got married, for us Christians, divorce is out of the equation. Divorce is out of, it's not an option. So my question is, how can you do then to see everything? How can you actually see everything? Like, let's say, because when I look at the question that the Afro Dreamer asks, okay, there are certain things that you can see only when you are living together. But then living together also is not an option for us Christians. Okay, so like, how can you do to see those things? How can you really do practically to, like, to, okay, to, see, because I mean, I've often heard that, okay, a broken relationship is better than a broken marriage. Okay, so in as much as you are trying to identify the right person, it's also good to identify the wrong person. Okay, it's also good not to make that mistake. Okay, so how can you see and determine, okay, that I shouldn't move ahead with this person?
All right. I think
Yes,
that I think that when you get to courtship, you have a counselor. There is some kind
yes,
of a checklist, okay? So there
yeah,
are some things people discuss together to help each other because one thing about courtship is to help you both discover each other more.
mhm,
That's the first thing. You help, I mean, to ask you intriguing questions which will help you discover the other person more. I'll make you think about it because maybe you did not think about it while you're in a relationship. That's the place of counseling. And then there are also assignments which will be given to you to help you discover. The second thing I'll add is that yourself, you need to be vigilant and be open minded. Okay, seek to want to learn, seek to want to discover the person more. Do in the course of that, you will learn the essentials which you need. If you after learning all of that, the counseling, I think you will get the minimum it takes for you both to stay together. If that minimum is not met, maybe you might not need to continue. But if your courtship is well done, satisfactorily, I think you will have the minimum it takes for you to continue together. And when that comes, the other discoveries you will make will not be that surprising to make you think about reverting a decision with failure, being with your spouse. So I think that through courtship and through counseling, most of those questions can be discussed. There are so many things, like she said. One of them could be finances, could be how you deal with your emails. I mean, all of these questions will come up during the process of counseling. So we will encourage you that, I mean, it doesn't matter how much you are burning, it is nice to get someone to counsel you during your relationship because he will help you not only to bond better, but will help you discover your spouse better so that together you can form a better home and make better.
Okay, just to add to what you
yeah,
said, uh, remember the statement I made, I don't know, maybe the second or the third session. I said you go into marriage, into courtship with your eyes open.
open,
I go into marriage with your eyes closed.
close.
Yes. So during courtship, your eyes are open, you're shining your eyes. You want to see those things that are red flags to you. You want to see those things that are deal breakers to you. For some person, for example, let's take for ladies. For some ladies, for example, a man who is not very generous with he's not very generous towards her with money. It's a deal breaker. Like she cannot live without money. She cannot afford to live without money. Why for another lady, she doesn't really mind. It's not an issue to her. So before you're getting to marriage or while you're in courtship, you already have those things that you can live with. You already have those things that you can not live with. Or you already have those things that you can live without, and you have those things that you cannot live without. That's the first step in singlehood, knowing yourself. Because when you know yourself, you know what you want, you know what you need, you know the things that you can do, the things that you cannot do, you know the kind of person you can make it. When you know yourself and you're getting into courtship, you already have that. It's kind of the checklist, as my husband said. You know those things already, and your eyes are open to see. Your eyes are really open to see. You're not be trying to close your eyes to give excuses or to try to sugarcoat his attitude. Oh no, he reacted this way because I did this, or he reacted this way because he came back from work and he was very tired, and that's what and etc. So you open your eyes and you see it's better to oversee during courtship than to undersee. It's better to oversee during courtship than to undersee. Okay. So after courtship and you're now married, you're getting to marriage, your eyes closed, meaning that you're not getting to marriage to investigate but to see if there are some things that are not comfortable. You're already inside, your eyes are closed. In fact, you are not seeing all you're seeing is your partner and love and the future together. There's nothing else to be checking again, there's nothing else to see. That's why courtship is very important. You see you're paying attention to all the details and you think about it all over. Am I sure this is what I want? Am I sure I'm going to cope with this? Is this really what is meant for me and all that? You do all of that during courtship. As you are married, your eyes are you are just getting to it closed and you're just enjoying it with your eyes closed like that. So that's what I have to add.
Right. Yeah, particularly what you said about that you have to you have to shine your eyes. Okay, all right. Yeah. Then you talked about that it's better to oversee than to undersee. Okay, so I mean, this no one is perfect. Okay, we all have our issues, our baggage, and all of that. Okay, so the question now is that how can you make the balance? Okay, how can you see just right? How can you do not to oversee? Because I believe that overseeing also is not also good during courtship. Okay, I believe that okay, if you when you make as if someone is perfect, or you expect someone to be perfect. Also, I also believe that it's kind of a hindrance. So the question I have is that how can you make that strike that balance? How can you see just like okay, knowing that okay, this person is also a human being, okay, and that you too you also have issues.
Okay.
You are also a human. You are also imperfect. You are not perfect. How do you do to strike that balance?
All right. All of, all of us are not perfect. There's no perfect human being. And so
Yes.
to live with someone, the person should be able to complement you or you should be able to form a match or a pair that can last. So you knowing who you are able to know exactly what suits you or exactly what will make you comfortable. You're able to know exactly what will make you not want to go ahead. Okay. So your partner might have different weaknesses in what you're keen on you is the thing that will make you not want to go ahead. Now he has other weaknesses that will make you annoyed, uncomfortable, angry about it. But as long as those things are not deal breakers to you, well, you could just ignore or overlook them. But that thing in particular that you know that you will not be able to cope, that if they put the two of you together and that aspect is there, it's like you're going to succeed. I think those are the things that you can oversee, you can overlook. Okay, let me take an example for me. To me personally, um, violence on the part of the guy, that's domestic violence. Physical abuse to me is a deal breaker. I will not even go ahead. I will not, even if you're perfect in every other thing. As long as that is there, I don't have any business or anything to do with you as far as marriage is concerned. Okay. So during courtship, okay, we are there now. Ah, you abuse me verbally like, oh, you see your big eyes, for example. You say see your big eyes, those your big eyes. Huh? I might say, I'm uncomfortable when he's talking me big eyes. Well, I don't really mind. It can make you uncomfortable, but yes, you kind of take it. Okay. But maybe there's something, some people's argument, and that man raises his hand and slaps me. At that point, I will not try to begin to give an excuse. No, I provoked him or he got angry because of what I said. I will simply pick my shoes and run. I'll even oversee. I will not even want to start justifying for something that I know that it could lead to the next and the next and the next, and I find myself in marriage which breaking up is going to be so traumatic and painful than the courtship. I don't know if I'm explaining what I'm trying to say well. But you know those things that honestly you cannot do without, or you cannot do it. So those are the things that you're really looking at, and you make sure that you're not giving excuses or you're not trying to sugarcoat things when it comes to that aspect. When it comes to that aspect, so that when you get into marriage, you not be kind of living in some help simply because you're married. Now, for the other things, you could be a bit relaxed, things that you could manage according to you, well, you could be a bit relaxed about them, knowing that at least nobody is perfect. But then, if the deal breaker to you is domestic violence, you will not just continue or move ahead with relationship simply because you think that nobody is perfect. You understand?
Yeah, 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 yeah. All right, yeah. What you said that makes it makes a lot of sense. Thank you very much for that insight. Okay, so I don't know if there is your question you have any questions. I don't know if you have you thought of any questions? Anything popped up in your mind?
Um,
Yes.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Um, I just want to ask a question.
Mhm.
For example, if you meet somebody who wants to get married to you, and then the person goes to a different church from you. For example, you go to a born again church, and then the person goes to a Catholic church, and then the person starts telling you that it's not about the church. Is it really about the church, or it's about the person's belief and the fundamentals of his beliefs and everything? So is it really an issue? Because the person is like, okay, no, it's not about a church. It's about the fact that we should work as a team. Does it really play a vital role? That's what I want to understand.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, before my husband says something, I would like to say that your spirituality is something that is very pivotal when it comes to your marriage. In other words, there are a lot of things that are going to hover around your spirituality or your beliefs as a Christian, your beliefs, your values in God. So if you are getting married to somebody who goes to a different church, when you say different church, really like different church with really contrasting values or contrasting beliefs, like what do they believe in this church? I think that's what's more important. Like, what do they believe in this church? What do I believe in my church? It's actually more important than the name. So, what your spouse should be saying is that this is what we believe, or this is what I believe in my church, and not this is what it's not about the church, it's about what we are together. Because what you are together is just linked to your spirituality, and your spirituality is linked to your church and your beliefs, what you believe in your church. So the question should be what do they believe in this church? What are their beliefs, their values, what do they think about God? And you ask yourself, what do I think in my church? What do they believe in my church? I think that's where you start seeing how compatible you are um, spiritually, or how compatible you are, because the name of the church doesn't matter, it's the belief that you have. And once you guys have contrasting beliefs depending on the churches that you come from, you should know that that's already a point of serious conflict. And if that's serious because it has to do with your spirituality, I don't know if that has
Yes, I
anything
mean,
to
like you
add.
say, you're a spiritual being and you have as something pivotal to make progress in your spiritual life. And so the person with whom you are coming together with should help you in that life. And also when the fellowship plays a good role. But it's also possible that in some cases the person may be fellowshipping where they don't have a strong belief and the person is open to learn, is
Mm,
open to make progress. That's different. It's possible to have a compromise. But the person is blunt on his end and you are blunt on your own end and you're unable to, it's the Bible says two cannot move together unless they agree. They must be three. If you are able to agree to come to have a common ground on what you can move on, it will not be a very healthy thing for your relationship. But if people have diverging views initially, there's a possibility of having a compromise to arrive at a point which is suitable for you both and help you both to continue growing in the things of God. I think you people can move ahead with that relationship.
Wow, interesting. Teres, has your question been answered?
Yes, yes, very much. I'm very okay with the answer. Thank you.
Yeah,
Right.
most definitely.
Okay, cool. And do you have any other questions in mind, or that's it?
No, that's it. I don't have any other question.
Okay. All right. So I have a few other questions. All right. Okay. So yeah, in courtship, it's important to shine your eyes. All right. Okay. So I mean, the question I have is because normally when you are really investigating someone, okay, when you're really like trying to find out, like, okay, like to look to determine those deal breakers, okay, sometimes it may not be it may it's not it may not be comfortable for the person. Okay, it may not be comfortable for the person. So the question I have is okay, when is it when at what, like, okay, let's say when should you like really start investigating? When is it time to really start investigating? Is it like before you know the person? Is it like before you like, is it like once you like just start meet the person, or like when is the ideal time to really get into the investigation, deep investigation, so as not to scare the person away?
uh, List
Yes.
of tests. Well, the investigation is not like you're investigating
You're
somebody
looking,
literally,
you're not
like
dancing.
you're a policeman or a military man in an FBI trying to investigate. But you're knowing the person, you're getting to know each other naturally. Like you get like your first day at school, you get to school, a new school, maybe you meet one or two new people, your friends, and then you're getting to know them. And then after some time, you feel like you're bonding with this friend more, or you prefer this other friend more because of this particular aspect in you. It's not like the first day you meet them, you send somebody
You pass them through a
to,
scan.
or you send somebody to monitor them, to go to their houses to see where they live and all that. It's just a gradual, it's very natural. It should be a natural process of knowing each other and not really investigating. You will just, those things will just pop up as you know them, because it is in a natural environment that you get to know somebody really well. If it has to be that kind of investigating, there are a lot of things that people can hide. There are a lot of things that people can cover. But once you let your relationship evolve naturally, those things will come up to you naturally, and you don't receive it.
All right. I'll say that you start. The first thing is you start learning and knowing about the person before even starting. Before you start dating, the person must meet a minimum criteria or have a minimum value for you to agree to move on with the person. If the person doesn't have a minimum, you can't even start. Now, when you start, you have two objectives. You want the relationship to go, and you also want to discover the things which you cannot. And all of that will happen during the process of friendship building, which will go by communication. As people talk, you can pick up the signals. The person who is violent, if you talk to somebody for 1 year or 2 years, if the person is violent, it's possible to pick it up in discussion. You have a person that can almost, for somebody who's deal breaker is beating. He doesn't start by beating just you. You hear how much he threatens to beat either a younger sister or threatens to beat somebody. You always hear this kind of things come up in a discussion. You know that this kind of person can. You see his actions when he's angry. He's angry when he breast black and all of that. That man, those are red flags. So there are so many things that you can pick up. Okay, during friendship, as you relate to the person, those red flags you can pick them up. Okay, as you relate to the person through communication and so that it will be possible. It's not like you are waiting and just to see you and then the body is no. It's as you are relating, you are discussing, you are talking, you are going out, you are doing things. When those things come up, be alert and be aware. When they show up, you pick them up. But not that you are going to take him to meet where they come and say you know that's not what that's not what it means.
Okay. All right. All right.
I will just mean that when in your relationship, as you are discussing, when those things come up, you should not be blind. You should be quick enough to see them when they come up.
Mm.
But neither you are going to tickle them to want to bring them out.
All right, all right. Well, that's interesting. Okay, so talking about what you said, the minimum criteria. Okay, okay. So if one of the of your minimum criteria, for example, is a person's age. Okay, and I mean, I've learned that it's kind of it's kind of like it's not people don't find it like comfortable to reveal their ages to people, especially like when to someone that they don't really even know. So like that's where like my question is like how can you do that to find out that person's age, for example, when you don't yet when you have when you, because that's your minimum requirement. Okay, how can you then do to find out other person's age without really going deep, without really, is it like how can you do that? What's the best way to do it? What's the natural way to do that? How, for example?
Somebody who has age as minimum is not really numerical age. Yes, somebody wants to find out age. For me, I think it's not really. I'm not sure his problem is mainly numerical age. Numerical age is one, but maybe physical age, emotional age, and all of that also count. If somebody might appear young, as you relate to the person, as you're talking with the person, it will be easy for you to estimate the person's age because you don't just meet somebody and ask him out. People have a time of discussion, people have a time of sharing, and you can know some information about the person early on. You can have a glimpse, a clue of how around when the person was born. He might not even tell you when he was born, okay, the exact date. But as you discuss, things like that can come up, and it's easy for you to know. All right, we're having our children have come and they're distracting us.
Okay. All right, all
Yeah.
right. No, but no, but yeah. Anyway, that was kind of a funny one. Okay, so with respect, the question, another question I have is with respect to the what Therese asked earlier. Okay, so what are some of the indicators, okay, of to be able to determine uh, someone's relationship with God? What are some of those things that can indicate someone having a good relationship with God?
Okay, there are so many of them. You can look at how often the person prays. You see how often the person, you see, you look at the person's prayer life, his Bible study life, his fellowship life, and look at his relationship with and his perspective about Christians as a whole, about Christianity as a whole. Okay, somebody might go to church regularly, might even pray regularly, So he has a very bitter mind towards Christians. He's always paranoid about Christianity, about what Christians do. I mean, he's so radical. Okay, I mean, it's not a good sign. He's somebody who usually have problems. I mean, he might be studying the Bible, but I'm not sure the Bible is transforming him. Alright, so the indicator you see the Bible study life, his prayer life, his fellowship life, and also the way he relates with other people, the way he talks about other Christians, and the way he also lives his life. His life should exemplify the Bible which he reads, the God to whom he prays, and people with whom he fellowship.
All right. Well, thank you very much for those for those
Nelson, please, I have
points.
something to add.
Oh yeah, sure. Go ahead. Yes, please go ahead.
In my opinion, yeah, in my opinion, I think that when you get to talk with the person and then you find out the person's mindset, because the mindset of somebody reveals a lot of things. What is the person's mindset? What does he think? Because sometimes it's not only about going to church, yes, but as a person's mind be renewed, because even the Bible says that we should be transformed by the renewal of our mind. So how much of how much of the word of God is in the individual? Has he been transformed? How does he think? It will tell you how mature the person is. So that's what I
Exactly,
think.
exactly. You are right.
Yeah.
You are right. Because, I
Yeah.
mean, you are right. Eh? Like we said, you study the word, your fellowship, your prayers, and also what the Word of God has done, how much of the Word you live. As your mind is transformed, you will be seen the way you live, you practice the Bible which is read. So I think I agree with you.
Mhm. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that, Therese. Yeah. I mean, we are. Wow. It's amazing that we've really we've gone above an hour. Okay. So I have one last question. Okay. So with respect to bride prices. Okay. So in our in our context in Cameroon, I mean, I mean, it's kind of obligatory, to pay bride price and and all of that. But I mean, the problem is that some of these cultures, it's really exorbitant. Okay, it's really exorbitant, and the truth is that I don't think that is a necessity. I don't think it's really a necessity. Okay, because for us Christians, what matters is the blessing in church. That's only when the marriage. That's the only time when the marriage is going to be. That's the only time when we can go ahead and consummate the marriage. So the question I have is, okay, is it possible? Is there a way around those things? Bride prices, traditional weddings. Is it possible to go around go around those things? Is it possible to just have your white wedding in in our context?
Okay. I would say that marriage has a physical, it has a spiritual, it has a cultural part of it. Okay, the spiritual part, of course, is the crowning all of everything. But the cultural part is very important. And because the cultural part is important, that is why in the choice of your spouse, you might also need to consider that, and you need to agree on that. Because there are some people who are literally very, very firm to some of their cultural beliefs. I want to give an example. There are some tribes in some parts of Cameroon where they said if you happen to lose your wife, sometimes the woman is buried back in the compound where she comes from. You are married to a woman, and the woman dies, she has to go back. They bury her corpse not in the husband compound, in the parents' compound. In fact, there are some families that will not accept that. For example, you might want to your parents might be so adamant to such, and you yourself you don't see why. Okay, it could play in the choice of your spouse that from that if you are if you want to marry from a family where they hold very very firm to such belief and they don't match with yours, it's difficult for you to move on. Two cannot move together unless they agree. All right, so it is important. So that cultural aspect is very important. And from there, we have the cultural part of it comes with, well, we have the traditional wedding and all of that, the traditional, all of that. I think it's important to do them. But now there are usually some excesses that sometimes some family carry out. All of those things can be prepared before the marriage, okay, by you discussing with your in-laws. The both parents can discuss about it and arrive at a common ground such that it is done in such a way that it is convenient and comfortable as much as possible to you people. But all of that comes with discussion, communication, and agreement. The excessive bride price, all of that can be negotiated with the girl's family, and you see how you must not even always pay all the bride price at once before getting to the marriage. Sometimes you can give a part and continue paying later on. Like they say sometimes in our culture that you never pay all the bride price, you continue paying it as long as you remember it. So you keep paying in different forms. Okay, so you can continue still you can give a part, so you continue paying eventually. Alright. But to say that I like to say that if the bride price shouldn't scare you. All right, most of those things can be arranged by discussion, by communicating with the family, and to arrive at a common ground before you can move on. I think it's possible. All right, and the rights which are not common, which you feel that you're uncomfortable, talk with them, and they can see how to. Sometimes the families are understanding and can see how to confront them. But I'm not sure that it's. I would advise somebody to get married without doing a traditional marriage. You generally know many churches will not accept that. Like you must do the traditional, do the civil, and then before you do the blessing generally.
Oh, churches won't accept.
Yes, most
Yes,
definitely.
some churches will not accept that. You at least those two aspects, because the traditional is what, because is your father who matches, is a father who matches with the girl into the church. Is a father who brings the daughter, is a father who hands over the daughter into the pastor. And no father will hand over the daughter who will be handing the traditional marriage. Yes, so it's difficult. Yes, difficult. Yes. Yes, but like I said, all of that can be arranged by communication so as to reduce expenses and going to some extent, some comfortable extent.
All right, all right. So yeah, so I guess it's something that has to be done.
Yes, yes, something that has to be
Yeah, it
done.
All
has to
right.
be done. If you love the woman, you see how to go about it. Remember in the Bible, somebody has to work for 7 years, and after 7 years, they gave him the wrong wife, and he still has to work for 7 years to do it. So men go through a lot
Well,
to have their wives.
14
yeah,
years.
yeah, yeah.
14 years.
Imagine how many
So
years. Imagine how many years of wait. How much you would have worked in 14 years
So
to just
I'm
and
telling
you work
you,
all of that to marry
all
one
your
wife.
salary.
I,
I'm telling you,
I'm telling you, so you can imagine.
So you just see how to negotiate all of that.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Wow. Thank you all for for all the sharing and for answering all our questions. It was really a wonderful moment. And this and this concludes the series on relationships. Okay, we started from singlehood up to marriage, and I believe we've touched most of the aspects. We believe we've touched most of the aspects. So I mean, thank you very much, our dear guests for all the brilliant presentations, and for
Thank you.
Thank you
us
too.
Thank
for
you,
accepting to
thank you too
collaborate
for
with us.
inviting us and for the opportunity to share and to learn from you, from your questions, from your contributions as well.
Thank you very much. And to our viewers who have been to our faithful viewers, okay, thanks also for sticking with us throughout this adventure. And I believe that it must have been very enriching. I mean, personally, I've learned a lot throughout this series. And once more, please give this video a thumbs up and share it on social media. I believe that your family and friends will also benefit from this. And please don't forget to subscribe and press the bell to get notifications on our upcoming videos. And until next time, remember that best tech remains your best bet.
Thank you
Thank
very much.
you. Bye
Thank you. Bye bye.
bye.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yes. Ooh.
Okay. Right. Just wait for a few couple of minutes for the end to feed to pass before I stop the stream.